no, you're saying what I tell people all the time. And I kind of look at it this way. I am in lockstep with you. I believe the lead gen that we have all been accustomed to and using as of late is rapidly coming to an end. The road's coming on. So if you were a business, I say this to a lot of lawyers. I say this to a lot of like service-based people. If your entire business was no money at all going towards a brand except for a little bit of swag and things like that, and everything went towards lead gen, you are going to find yourself in 18 months or less in a world of hurt. It's not going to exist the way you think. So if you're making all these white papers and creating all these blogs, although again, still works, but it's beginning to draw back and fade. So 20 some years I've been doing SEO. I'm an SEO core at my core. I'm SEO. I tell people all the time, I don't poo poo it. It literally paid my mortgage. It's SEO is what I always did. But I do come out and say, if we're going from search and retrieve to solve my problem, SEO does not live anymore. It's going to fade away. So as less and less people go to organic search, more and more companies are going to see that, and they're going to start spending more money on pay-per-click, which is going to make it prohibitively to the point where if less people are coming to Google and more people are advertising, you're going to get to the point where you're like, what are we doing? So all of that's going to change. And the recommendation I tell companies all the time is two things. You got to become a micro-influencer whether you want to or not. And number two, take the time right now to pull the investment back from lead gen and start putting the money into building the brand and building your AI, solve my problem for when clients come. You need to do that now. And too many companies are pushing ahead with lead gen and saying, we'll figure it out. And I don't think they understand the train that's coming. That's not a light at the end of the tunnel. That's a train coming.
When you and I are like so in lockstep, and you really set me up perfectly. So I'm going to do a shameless plug for a book I wrote like 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was called Build Your Brand Mania. Okay. And that was actually the first book I ever wrote as I was getting into the agency world. And before, SEO was coming together. It was probably 50% of like where my mind share was at the time when I wrote that book. But I wrote that book first because I felt like you had to build your personal brand. This is when like the rise of like Instagram and influencers and all that kind of was happening. But I still think that book is so relevant today because it's about building who you are as a person. And then it's about building your business. And a lot of those key factors are still there. And to even bring this conversation back to kind of get back, I guess, on track. We've gone all over the place. It's been fun, Len. Yeah. It's been really fun. I would love to have you back on and I would love to push it forward a little bit more with the time that we have left. But, Google, and I've said this before, used to be like a librarian. Okay. You would go to the librarian and you would say, hey, like I need information on XYZ. And it'd be like, go check this out, check this out, check this out, check this out. Now what it's doing is you're going to the librarian, you're like, give me the answer. Right. And then so they're researching all the stuff. Then they're coming back with you the answer. And you said it. You said, hey, people are coming to doing the search that way. And then when they come to your website, you're still asking them to figure it out and like navigate your website. And people's attention spans are just shrinking. I think Microsoft did a study, and this was, I think, 2012, that said our attention span was comparable to a goldfish. Okay.
Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah. And that was before TikTok. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I would be interested to see what that study is now. So I think to your point, from a conversion rate optimization standpoint, like you're getting people to come to your website. A lot less people are coming. They're ready to buy. They're well educated. Make it easy for them. And you need to be thinking about how people are operating now. If they came to your website through AI search, and you can see that in analytics, you can see where like it's growing. What are you doing on your website to convert? So I would love to kind of push the conversation forward because you brought that up at the beginning of the podcast. And I think it's so relevant. How are we transforming when someone comes to the website from the horse and buggy to like the flying car, if we want to use Elon Musk's, whatever roadster that's coming, like it's apparently has wings. I don't know. Yeah. The Jetsons is coming, guys. Yeah, they promised it to us, and I think it's finally coming.
Well, back to the chatbot. The reason I tell companies to use the chatbot is so there's two thoughts here. First, that's the future of websites. worrying about navigation and images and where the content's going to be, and you know, here's where the video's got to be, and we're already starting to work on the first websites where it's literally just a chatbot. That's it. And it's pulling in the video, it's pulling in the images, it's pulling in the content, it's answering the question. They don't want to click around, drop, go from there. So my advice, if you're an agency out there, start thinking about websites way different than you ever have before. The creative, the artistic direction, the copyright, it's all still matters, but now it's going to get pulled into a live chat or an AI chatbot. That is what websites are going to look like. And on the flip side of that, websites are going to have less relevance. You know why? Because ChatGPT just came out and said, we're going to start showing less links. Gemini followed up and said the same thing. They're all going to come out and say the same thing. Why? Because that it will be the operating system of your life. So if you haven't done this before, go to ChatGPT, hit the plus button down below, and you're going to see apps. Apps is something they had a couple of years ago. They took it away. They bought them back. So you're seeing all the major companies with the apps in there. If you haven't interacted with it, go to Expedia, interact with Expedia. You don't ever leave ChatGPT. You can book everything, get everything done right there. That is the future of your website. So your website will be a repository with all of your information. You can do a chatbot and people can kind of go through it and pull the images and videos. And you're going to be building an app along with it, which is very cheap, very affordable to do. And all of that information is going to be in there. So that, you know, kind of brings me to the question that I think, you know, everybody wonders is, well, what's going to happen to web traffic and how do we track that stuff? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what that means. Like, is it per interaction? Like does the term web traffic actually not mean anything in a couple of years? It might. It literally might mean nothing because they're interacting with your apps across these platforms. So I think that's the thing where it's almost like you feel like you're part of like a Spanish galleon from the 1700s crossing the water. Like, we don't know what the hell the next mile is going to be. We can't predict the weather, and we're just riding it. But I think the people steering the ships, which are marketers, which are really good business consultants, really good leaders, you would hope that their experience get you over to where you got to be to deliver the quote unquote treasure and get to that point. But I think that's the scary point right now. Like, we can forecast, you and we can think about stuff, but where we're going to be in 18 months, I don't know. I really don't know.
So Google came out at the beginning of the year, they always do, of kind of what they're focused on. And they pivoted to YouTube, which falls in line with what we talked about building the brand. They looked like they were also going after, like you said, collapsing the funnel down where you can buy on Google. So it looked like they were going head to head with Amazon. So it's like ChatGPT is trying to become, Google. Google's trying to become Amazon. Also, Google was saying, hey, YouTube's really, really important. And we don't have time to like open up that thread. But anybody that's listening, I've done a lot of podcasts. I have some great YouTube experts on. Go check that out. If you're still interested in hearing more about how to build that brand, I'm going to have Lynn back on. Lynn, is there